Thank you very much, Alan, and good afternoon, everybody. I've had the opportunity to participate in many national economic plan discussions over now a number of years. And this discussion, as is the case with much in 2020, is so different to what we've had to do before. But I hope the different format isn't taking away from the engagement. And this is a process that the government takes really seriously and is going to be feeding into the development of the National Economic Plan. Three thoughts from me. The first one is the importance of the National Economic Plan. It is so important as we are navigating our way through a world that is changing so quickly that we have a reviewed and renewed sense of what kind of economic model we want to move to and what kind of change is going to be necessary in how we organise and plan our economy in order to allow us to continue to support our society and our citizens. The National Economic Plan for me is a vital ingredient in doing all of this. What it will do is put together a framework that will harness the different plans that government has underway and look to bring them together in a more cohesive way. And obviously the input of all of you into the content of that plan is really important, because as important as a plan is, what makes the plan a reality is the degree of commitment by government to making it happen and the enrolment of support that we're able to build across our country for the implementation of this plan. My second point is where we are at the moment and the consequences of where we are at the moment for how we will implement the National Economic Plan and how we will need to make further decisions about supporting our country in 2020 and beyond. Today is a very, very difficult day for so many employers and for so many citizens. We are today and tonight now about to implement a further very tough phase of public health guidance that is going to have really immediate consequences for those who are running businesses and for those who support and depend on businesses for their livelihood. Coming from and getting ready for a moment like this, the government has put together a number of even more significant supports to help our country across the coming 6-week period that I think are also important for giving an indication about how we want to think about our future beyond level 5. The work that has been done, for example, to then launch and strengthen the wage subsidy scheme, a new plan that we will have available but is already accruing funding for affected businesses in the COVID-related support scheme. All of these are interventions that would have been nearly unimaginable for the Irish state earlier on this year, but have been put in place to support our country and its citizens at a time of such difficulty. And it points to what we are capable of doing when we do two things. The first one is try to manage our affairs sensibly and well when times are good. The second thing is when we are imaginative about what we need to do at a time of either great challenge or at a time of opportunity. And that leads on to my third point, which is the kind of things that I think about when I think about our country's future beyond where we are at level 5, beyond where we are with the coming days and the coming weeks. The first thing that is on my mind is the very different world that we are now in. We are a small, open, highly globalised economy, but the nature of that globalisation is now changing week by week, month by month. The nature of foreign direct investment, the global political consensus in relation to global trade, in relation to global taxation. That model of globalisation that Ireland was anchored in over the last decade in particular is changing. And what does that mean for us? How do we respond back to that? That's one of the reasons why the National Economic Plan is so important. The second thing I reflect upon is the nature of our economy has been a mixed economy and the sustainability of that mixed economy in the years to come. We've had to reimagine the role of the state. We've had to demonstrate the role of the state, for example, in paying the income of people who don't actually work for the state when our domestic economy collapses. And one of the things that we'll all need to engage on is what does that mean for the future role of the state in Ireland? And then how do we make that sustainable? How do we pay for that? How do we ensure in that repositioning the role of the state doesn't lead to other vulnerabilities on the future and doesn't leave us exposed to other forces? And then finally, as we continue that debate and then make decisions about it, is the consequences of all that we are going through for equality and inequality. We learned in the aftermath of the great financial crisis the importance of inclusivity within a society, and then what happens when that inclusivity is fractured. We've experienced that at times within our country. We have, by and large, I believe, managed to maintain a sense of social cohesion, but we can see what happens in politics elsewhere if that's not maintained or if it changes. And again, this is why this kind of deliberation is so important, and the work of the National Economic Plan will be a really important ingredient in our country's future. So I look forward to seeing the output of all of you from this day, and look forward to working with all of government, with my colleague, Minister McGrath, with the Taoiseach, the Taoiseach and Minister Ryan, in how we can conclude this process and make the National Economic Plan a really important foundation in building our country in a world that keeps on changing. So thank you very much, keep safe, and look forward to meeting you all again at some point, I hope physically soon. Thank you.